I do try and be respectful, and I'm saying this with respect. I don't think Damian gets it. I actually don't think he gets it. I don't think he understands, because he starts in this conversation to talk about when he gets abuse. And again, he has to have it explained to him how when Damian Grant receives abuse for something he's written, it's very different from someone receiving abuse because of their race or their culture. Let's play this bit.
In terms of personal abuse, look, every Sunday I get a whole pile of personal abuse, and sometimes the personal abuse is enough that it made me get off Twitter for a while, because the level of, so I understand what personal.
Oh, so he has to get off Twitter for a while. That's the hardship that this man has. The hardship from what Matthew's talking about goes back to things like lands being stolen. But, you know, Damian Grant has to get off Twitter. So it's same really, isn't it, Chewy? Get off Twitter for an afternoon. Lots of Māori are fighting to have their generational lands returned them. That's about the same, isn't it? I think it's pretty close. Surely.
I don't think that he's really measured these two things correctly. People might say that he sounds like a demented Kermit the Frog, or he's a twice convicted fraudster. Nobody's saying that his bloodline should be ended and all of his works erased.
Yeah. Well, let's go on and see how he gets it explained to him.
Enough that it made me get off Twitter for a while, because the level of, so I understand what personal hatred is like, because I cop an awful lot of it myself personally. But the fact that people behave in that way doesn't mean and I don't think anybody is saying, oh, we need to rip up the treaty, as you said before. The issue under discussion, and I think it's a valid issue, and from my perspective, it's a narrow one. What are the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi? What are they, and what do those principles, if they exist, and I'm not convinced that they do, but if they exist, what does that practically mean going forward? Because we have seen an enormous shift in the last 30 years, where you have things like Mano Atawai, you have things like customary title now being debated before the courts. These are significant constitutional issues, and the fact that some people act like racist idiots doesn't mean that we can't or shouldn't have that debate. There are racist idiots in Te Pāti Māori, and some of the things that they have said has been utterly disgraceful. But they are still allowed to say what they say. Simon.
Can I just say, Damien, that there is a difference between the kind of abuse that you get personally, and I get that too when I write something. And it doesn't really matter who gets more of it. I get it because of what I wrote. You get it because of what you wrote.
I get it because of what I did. I get it because of who I am.
Okay, you get it because of you.
Yes.
I get it because of me. Racism isn't directed at that guy who's a Māori because of what he did or is. It's simply, he's Māori, so it's okay to abuse him. That's racism, and that is different. And that is different. Thank you. Okay,
I agree. There is.
And can I just go to your to your actual question there? The process we did have underway in this country and have had going for decades now has been, on the whole, enlivening, constructive, engaging, difficult, and not linear. It's gone forwards and back and everything, but it has been a process that we have that has meant that Eden Park filled up on Sunday evening with a whole lot of every type of people to do the haka, which meant that the Waikato River has been run on co-governance lines with no problem at all, and everybody involved says this is a great way to do this. It has meant that some things have been, like the maunga in Auckland, for example, hotly disputed how that should be run. It doesn't mean that it's always smooth and plain sailing by any means, but the process we've been engaged in as a live process is now being derailed by this government across a whole range of fronts. What's been taken away, unfunded, abolished and so on, and is going to be really seriously derailed when Seymour's debate kicks off.
There you go. They'll start talking in there. And look, I mean, I do have one more clip when they talk about the defunding, because he's just mentioned of the Te Reo teaching resource. But Chewy, you want to speak to that first?
Yeah, I think he's spot on, and again, I could hear him talk about it forever. And I don't think that Damian Grant is equipped for this discussion. It's not his wheelhouse. He doesn't get it. He has no frame of reference.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can have this discussion without empathy, and I don't think he has it.
It's interesting that you would say he doesn't get it, because I think what I heard Simon saying, and we've said this here a few times as well, like in the previous clip, not that one, is that if we don't approach this debate, this conversation correctly, then we shouldn't be approaching this conversation. And it feels like people are saying, well, we're just going to be talking about the treaty principles, and they don't get it. They don't understand how this could be done properly. And when you say he doesn't get it, I think about how many New Zealanders involved in this, oh, it's our debate, we'll have a debate about it, don't get it. And I think that's probably quite a high percentage of people.
Yeah, like whenever Seymour is talking about this, I think he's coming at it from like an intellectual position. It'd be a good thing to have a conversation about it. He doesn't get the, like, I get where people are saying that maybe David Seymour's not racist. He just does a lot of racist things, or he speaks to a lot of racists. I'm happy to give him the benefit of the doubt to say that he just doesn't see it. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that it's happening. That there are people that are weaponizing this to say some of the most hateful, ugly, ignorant things. And a lot of them are operating from generations of misinformation or lack of understanding or just white supremacist colonizer viewpoints that of what the treaty is. Even down to there's two treaties and they're not the same.
Yeah.
Like, I found that out not that long ago. Like, within the last 10 years, that's come into my sort of knowledge space. How many people out there don't know the difference between Te Tiriti and the treaty? How many people that do know that they're two think that the treaty is a direct translation and that there are no problems there? This is why when those guys spray painted it in Te Papa, draw a bunch of attention to it. That's why they did it. And it fucking worked. I know people that learned because that was in the news.